There once was a wealthy man who had two sons, and their family lived in peace and prosperity. The older son was diligent, a man who worked hard in his father's fields. But the heart of the younger son was restless, filled with dreams of distant lands. One day, the younger son came to his father and made a bold request. "Father, give me the share of the estate that is coming to me." Hearing these words, the father's heart was filled with a deep sorrow, not with anger, but with love. And so, the father divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son gathered all he had and set off for a distant country, never once looking back. He arrived in a magnificent, vibrant city, a place of indulgence and luxury. There, with those who called themselves his friends, he began to squander the wealth his father had given him. Days turned into nights, and his inheritance vanished like water, down to the very last coin. After he had spent everything, a severe famine swept through that country. The city's joy turned to fear. When his money was gone, his friends vanished too. He was left utterly alone. Hungry and desperate, he accepted the most demeaning job he could find: the pigsty. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. In that lowly state, hungry and hopeless, he finally came to his senses. A memory sparked in his mind. "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare?" he thought, "and here I am, starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father. And I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.'" With that decision made, he began the long, hard journey home. His feet were bare, his clothes were rags, and every step was a struggle. After many days of travel, he saw in the distance the familiar hills of his father's estate. But while he was still a long way off, his father, who had been watching for him every day, saw him. And his heart was filled with compassion. Forgetting his dignity, forgetting his age, the father ran. He reached his son, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. As he approached the house, he heard music and dancing. When he learned what had happened, he became angry and refused to go inside. So his father went out and pleaded with him. "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The father's words struck the older son's heart. His face was a storm of anger, confusion, and years of buried pain. He looked past his father, towards the light of the house. And there, for the first time, he saw his brother. Seeing the repentance on his brother's face, and the joy on his father's, the older son's hardened heart began to soften. Without a word, he took a slow step forward, and then another, into the light of the feast. And the father, with both his sons beside him, felt a joy greater than any he had ever known. His family, though broken, was finally whole.